Greetings, my brothers and sisters worldwide, all the indigenous people all over the world, indigenous Moors. Well, you have here Tonic Man and my brother Wafok Hemde and my other indigenous brother over here. Let me give you a piece of him and then two young offspring right there. So we're gonna talk about some issues we face in an island Uromi. Okay, in terms, what do you think will become of Uromi, referred to as St. Vincent and the Grenadines, if the so-called ULP regime that is in current power right now, in the current administration, in politics, tamper with the volcano to do the geothermal energy? What will you think will become of the island? You think it will repeat the same process as Montserrat? Give us your perspective.
Well, I believe that it may not give the same experience as Montserrat in a short term, and I can't say that it would, but I believe that it's a risk, a great risk, because you have wind turbines that you can use to generate current. This island is full of rivers and waterfalls that you can use to generate current as well. You look at solar panel. Another way that we can use to generate current. So to go and trying to tamper with the volcano, I believe that there are other ulterior motives where this ULP government is concerned, or any other party as a matter of fact. I say that so that it would not sound like if I am biased. Any party at all that interfere with the volcano, nature, a volcano of that magnitude that can wipe this island Uromi, which is referred to as St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as we know, or as a few of us know, the free Moors as we are. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is only a corporate state that came to do business here on the island, according to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship signed in Morocco, for the state to do business only in the cities, the 6 towns, and not where they are going on mainland to interfere with anything on mainland. It is a violation of international law. It is not right. It is not right. I also believe that the state needs to rethink and relook carefully at the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, because, for instance, in the hills, as some people may know it, some people call it mountains, where our forefathers, the Moors, accustomed planting the medicinal plant and chief export crop, hemp, which the state classify as a drug, marijuana, ganja, weed, stating that it is illegal. Many men and women are behind bars. I already went there. I speak from experience. For hemp, under different names that the state classify as abomination drug. Many children, many homes were shattered, and it's still being shattered. Youths, children are going astray. Their fathers are behind bars for hemp. A plant that the creator, the sovereign creator, gave to us to use for our own benefit. It is a gold spoon in every black man's mouth. But for decades, they took it away.
And when you say the word black, you know we shouldn't be referring to our nation as black. We are melanated.
Well, that is correct, because, and I'm subject to correction in the time that you correct me, because we know that we are, the Moors are clean, white, organic beings.
so to speak.
The Caucasians, they are white. They are black, sorry, they are black. Because they are more prone to diseases, whether from the sun, you name it. And if you look up the term, or try to break down, you look in the dictionary, and you try to look at black, you will see it begins from, or start with pale, coming right down to black. So they are the ones that black the Caucasians. But you know, they have, they're well versed in changing the history of things around. Everything they have told us in life is lies.
It's
everything.
Pure lies.
Everything.
I agree with you on that.
They interfere with the very with nature itself. They interfere with the air.
And would you say it's the same thing that the Prime Minister want to do, interfere with nature too?
The same thing.
Tamper with the volcano?
The same thing.
And what would you say? It's more than just geothermal energy. You think it's a plan for greed to try to confiscate whatever diamonds or gold they might find underground with the mining they would plan illegally under the process, under the radar, so to speak, where the common man and the regular so-called Vincent and corporate wards would not overstand?
Yes, I believe that is correct. Because if you look at, okay, islands where you find diamonds and gold, or mostly diamonds, is situated on lands where you do have volcano. So and this island, Uromi, has, it is said that it is the second largest volcano in the world.
No, let me correct you on that. The sixth largest volcano in the world.
Again, subject to correction.
Yeah.
Sixth largest volcano in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this land, I believe, has minerals that are very, very, very valuable. And because of greed, any government in power would attempt to grab at everything.
So to speak, that's the very truth about it and the essence of the scheme. Because
Correct.
all of them is basically a monopoly system.
Correct.
And they strive on taking away the wealth from the common people.
Correct.
And the aim of that system in the beginning is called the nationalization, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Now, on another topic now, what would you give a perspective about Mandela, Nelson Mandela, and his dream about freedom and what he did not accomplish on his dream?
Well, Nelson Mandela, I look at the struggle of Nelson Mandela, and it was one of, if I may use the word, dark moments, hell. Mandela was in the struggle for many years. And his so-called release from prison and the position that was given to him as presidency, note I use the term or the word given to him. Yet, I do not believe that Mandela actually proved to the world that he found out what he was trying to show to the public or accomplish. Because I believe that in the struggle that he was trying to find out something that the Caucasian was hiding from humanity. And that is the actual essence of freedom. He did not. He never discovered that while he held president of South Africa. He never. No one can convince me of that. Because if he had the position that the free Moors in the world are taking now, the stance that they're taking, that we are taking now, and has took, Mandela would have highlighted that to the world.
And he did not.
People would have been liberated. So he did not.
He did not.
He failed.
Failed.
Because he was used. He was used to do what he did. He was given certain mandates to follow. Being a part of the order, the lodge. It is their very nature.
What we'll do, we will have to continue this video in the next couple of minutes. So we'll take a little break and then we'll get back.
We will.
Okay, my people, we're back to finish up what we left off. Again to you, my brother. Tell the people and them what was the mistake Mandela made.
The mistake is, as I've said before the break, Mandela did not find out what was the key factor in freedom in liberating oneself. For instance, you know that Bob Marley sang this song, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind." It is not a slavery situation where chains were involved, as they taught us in school, that they brought us from Africa on boats with chains. That's just lie, pure lie, nasty lie. I shouldn't say pure lie, nasty lie. You heard, I believe, many times, or probably sometime in your life, about the shipwriters agreement. It's only terms. So they put that on paper and they tell you that they brought us from Africa on ships. Nasty lies. Nothing like that. So Mandela should have, in his digging, tried to find out the actual thing that binds us as slaves to the corporate states, to the Queen of England, to the Pope of Rome. These are the people that make abomination more abominable, evil more evil, and darkness more dark.
Well said, my brother.
These are the people. Now you look at here in Uromi, and if I may say to my brothers and sisters around the world, the diaspora around the world. Okay, here in Uromi you have the RSS or the SSU or the police force of the corporate state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They goes into the hills under the guise that wanted men or gunmen or thiefmen are in the hills. But the men that they found planting the hemp, which is according to international law, it is not illegal to grow, manufacture or use hemp. These are the people that has to run for their lives. You have to flee for their lives. And at the same time in America, England and Canada, they're planting the same hemp and making billions of dollars. They're doing it. They never stop because of greed. And my conclusion is, I know that it is long overdue that the Queen of England stepped down from off her throne. Leave everything, even her clothes, and step off the planet and allow justice to continue to begin, because there's no justice. And the Pope of Rome needs to follow her as well. Simple. Simple.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Well said, my brother. Well said. Well said, well said. Now, my brother, I'm gonna continue where you left off, giving my preview upon the Mandela situation. Well, first of all, Mandela started out with a productive aim of equal rights and justice, but he didn't found out the actual ideal, the actual stuff that made you free. It wasn't about just negotiating with your capturer or your slave master. It was about declaring and demanding your protection, your human rights, and your real rights as a natural being. But what he did was a good struggle, and the beginning of the struggle, while he started for human rights, but failed to found out the very essence of what the situation was really called and what it was. And when he did found out is when he was already done being bought into presidency just to keep him shut up. So the regular people would not have known what the real purpose of his fight, because all they thought that he fight for freedom, and yes, he did good, but that was just in a small point of his life. When he became a president of South Africa, because accepting presidency would accept to be a massa just like his very own oppressor. And these are the elements that we need to focus on and look at, because if I'm your slave master and I beat you all the days of your life and force you to do the thing against your will, and then when I done, I just say, okay, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to be the leader here, to be master over the rest of people, and you take it up with a joy and then continue it. Aren't you still promoting the same genocide? Aren't you still promoting the same pilgrimage and the rape and the rob and the exploitation of our people?
Certainly.
So therefore, it becomes like the so-called story of Judas, a betrayal to his own kind.
Correct.
So what Mandela did in the beginning, I didn't damn that. I love that, because he started with the struggle. But then he fall off, because being bribed into the politic system that would encourage him to be a president so he could keep his mouth shut, so they could claim that they repay him for the bad that is done, putting him in jail for 20-something years or whatever you recall the years to be. So the public and the regular people worldwide wouldn't say, oh, well, they did something and, oh, that's what he long struggled to be. You can't struggle to be a slave master. You struggle to abolish slavery.
Correct.
And abolishing slavery is finding the key elements of slavery. First of all, slavery wasn't just capturing you. Slavery was talk about signing the peace treaties and coming to do business with the Aboriginal people in their land and only occupying the cities. But then when they get certain powers and create the security forces, they begin to encroach on the Aboriginal rights, and there's where we have a little bit of overthrowing and a little bit of fighting for our own personal land and resources. Now, on the top of that, when they conquer some, what they would do is encourage the rest remaining population to denationalize themselves, to become a so-called citizen of the state, which is the very essence of slavery that Mandela should have really fought for. The same thing Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and I fought for on this island you roam me, and free myself from such atrocities, from these evil system that is occupying my island that is called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Okay? And the essence of freedom is knowing thyself and knowing where you are coming from and who you are. And once you know that, then you will know the process to take to be completely free.
Correct.
Which I took. So Mandela fight was, some may vex with to say this, but it was in vain. It did not accomplish. Mandela did not accomplish what he set out to do. Why? Because he was led into greed and bribery.
Correct.
And he was in fear of his own life. So he didn't even want to speak up the truth. After becoming a president, he realized that this is the very nature of slavery itself. You know, the government system, the denationalizing system that takes you out of your natural person and put you to be a corporate ward, which is called property of the state. That's what it is. Because South Africa is not the name of the island. It would have its indigenous name. Just like this is Uromi and they would call it St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the corporate name. So is South Africa. So is Nigeria. So is Egypt, which is originally Kemet. So is Grenada, which is Kamahan. You know. So is the USA, which is the United States of America, which is originally known as Turtle Island and Amexin. Okay? So when we're dealing with reality, and people will vex to hear this, but Mandela did his good little fight in the beginning, but at the ending, he didn't accomplish what he really set out for. And he did not teach the people the purpose of freedom and what it is to know yourself and to be completely free. Because to know yourself is to know where you're coming from, and only when you know your past, then you can reveal your future. So therefore, your past is your future. So once he had taught the truth, then you could have said that he had done something to set people free, but he did not. You know, his fight started off to be a good purpose and ended out to be one that would be a betrayal. In the terms of looking at the reality, like me, who's very intellectual and knowing what is freedom, would see it. But for a common man, because he's caught up in a society and does not know, they still wouldn't comprehend this, and they would be vexed of this video that I'm about to put out on YouTube. But I don't really care about the ignorance. I'm sending a message so that the people would realize Mandela did not accomplish what he was set out to accomplish, and he did not send the true message to the people. His fight was in vain. Why? Because he never did speak the truth. After becoming a president, he get to find out that this same system that he become a president of is the very nature of slavery. That is the slave system that keeps his people bondage. Because when you're under indoctrination, slavery, and under a so-called certificate of a corporation, it means the corporation who creates that company have all jurisdiction, all rights over you. And that's how they create the systems, okay? Which is called government systems.
Now, Tony.
Yeah.
Having said that, And I agree that Mandela did not accomplish
what he was said to do.
The super goal.
Yeah.
What he was said or set out to do.
Right.
From the beginning. Because somewhere along the line, we see that he was bought.
He was bought.
He was bought.
He was bought.
Now, he was bought. Now, okay. Now, Mandela probably had the same experience like Bob Marley. Because Bob Marley sang that song when he said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And I know, and you know, because we have already found out, and we are elated having received that light, and we are sharing it. And there are many, many more and many others that are a part of. And that is to do with the birth certificate, the very essence of slavery. Mm-hmm. Because if Nestor Bob Marley had known that, he would have sang it in his song. He would have highlighted it. I have spoken to many, many Rastafarians here in Uromi who told me that they never knew it was so simple, a simple document, and they did it when we were innocent.
Yeah, when we were baby. When we couldn't do better.
So even Mandela himself was innocent, and Mandela himself, who has a birth certificate, is a slave. The prime minister
died being a slave.
Correct, as a slave.
Died being a slave.
Right? So I believe that if Mandela had known that, he saw and knew that the system that he's in is slavery, or the progenitor of slavery, but he did not know where to put his finger.
And how to get out.
And how to get out. Right? And how to get out. But you know that there are many people who will know and hear how to get out, but they will refuse
because of the benefit of the slave money.
They prefer to die in that area, in that position.
They're benefiting from, I know.
Yes, they prefer to die.
They're called bloodsuckers. It's basically a vampire system, you know. What we call a government system, it's called a monopoly system.
Correct.
It's where they use the citizens as bonds and stocks to fuel their evil agenda. Okay? It's called greed. You know? It's very wicked and corrupt. And it's all involved with every member and civil of society that come up and protects the system. Anybody that protects the system, boasts for the system, and glorify the system is all the demonic people who benefit from the blood of the common man, who does not aware of what they are doing and what the system is. Who don't know what is slavery.
You know, speaking of greed, I always ask myself the question, and sometimes I share this with other brethren. Greed. Why would a government tax babies who cannot talk? They tax their milk, their pampers, everything from the crib to the grave. The old people who can't move, who can't do anything, who cannot work anymore, they still tax them.
They can't.
That is what you call greed.
But they can't do no better because the old people was sold into slavery by a denationalizing system that is called a government that uses the form of a birth certificate to take the rights from them. So by denationalizing them, they don't know that is what caused them to be a slave. So they can't do better. And they have to abide by the corporate systems because they are under the jurisdiction of the system. So therefore, they have to abide. So the tax they will have to pay. But to be indigenous and to try to fight you or force you to pay that tax, that is called international laws breaking, that is called violation of the treaty, violation of indigenous rights, and violation of their own constitutional rights.
Correct, correct.
So we will stand firm on our struggle. And we're not only struggling in terms of, is the message we're struggling to get to the people. We're already free.
Correct.
And we know what it is to be free.
Correct.
But we're struggling to get the message to wake up the rest people so that they would know and they would come out of this illusion and get away from this corrupted, wicked system and be like us. Because we lead our own destiny. And like what I would say for you people, if you don't understand something, find out about it before you talk. Before you go and prattle your mouth. Because a lot of people like to make judgmental, and they don't really know what they're talking most of the time. And if they really go and search and research like us, then they will know what we're saying, then they will stop damming the bridge that they're about to cross and get on board and find out and do the necessary things to be free just like us.
Brother, you know, you're so correct, because there are many people who, when commenting on certain situation, they will tell you most of the time, them say, he say, she say. And that's what them say.
Well, the worst thing to live off
when
of,
you look,
excuse my cutting, eh?
Right.
The worst thing to live off of is she say or he say. And you know, in any court proceedings, you can say she say or he say. That doesn't count. You either have the physical evidence and the real evidence, or there is nothing there to back you. And therefore, case must be dismissed. So these words that most people use, oh, I hear he say, she say, and they say, they don't count, my youth. Never put them out here.
Well said, because I was concluding by saying, when people normally use the word them say or he say or she say, they do not ask themselves, then what do I say? You don't have a brain of your own to think, to find out things for yourself, to check for yourself, so that you can say I know and not I believe.
Well said.
Now, speaking of persons who should be liberated from slavery by coming from under a birth certificate system.
It's called a birth certificate fraud.
No, right, fraud. Now, many people are fearful that if they do come away from that system, they will be victimized, they'll be penalized. What is the United Nations stance on victimization or decriminalization of this free movement?
Well, basically,
going forward,
the United Nations had to. They're actually, the members who form the United Nations is a nation that comes from multi-government, international governments and local governments, okay? Which would be the small islands referred to as the Caribbean or Atlantic Island. These are called small governments, and the international government would be the continents and these other superpowers that be. Okay, well, the United Nations was to protect the interests of not only themselves and their states and certain implemented policies that they would implement, but they would also have on board with them to protect the Aboriginal, the lands and the resources for the Aboriginal people. And they write the protection of the Aboriginal people in a very strict and manorial code that when you observe it, you will know that the states that occupy the Aboriginal land do not have rights to invade them, do not have rights to violate them in any form, to force them to pay tax, nor dictate, nor tell them what to do in their own island. It's a violation. So these laws is laid down and every country signed to it. Why some fail to obey the rules that they signed to do? Because of also greed and neglect. But everything has repercussions.
Now, when you speak of tax, you speak of only road tax, driver's license tax?
All tax in general, any type of tax. Indigenous people are not supposed to be paying no kind of tax. This is their island. No kind of system that you have, you can come and invade the indigenous people and force them to pay tax. That is an illegal process. You have to repay them back everything. There is no tax that any indigenous Aboriginal should be paying in their own island. That's their land. They permit you by a treaty to do business in the cities, not for you to come and exploit them. So don't matter whether you're in the cities and they come in the cities with the so-called corporate systems that you set up in the cities, you are still to obey the treaties as to let them do whatever business they desire to do with you in the same cities at different locations, whether your corporations that you set up, and you are to do it peacefully and harmless to them without any tax or without any form of discrimination. But these people tend to violate the international codes that they sign to protect Aboriginal and do a lot of stupidness. You see, for instance, with a lot of presidents or prime ministers in different states invading and occupying indigenous land, even taking it and building airports and other different type of stuff, like you see happening in Island Uromi with the ULP regime, which is a very violation of indigenous rights, because to move the barren ground and the different artifacts and all these stuff that was found in the Argyle is a very violation of the treaty. And it's not that something must be done, and it will be done sometime to come, but we have to set this straight, that we will not tolerate no more of these violations that has been used to denationalize or thief Aboriginal lands and resources without any chief or indigenous leader giving consent. and we would not give consent to such a stuff like that. Okay?
Now,
So-
what was it written in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship by the Sultan or King and Queen of Morocco, between the British, that the SVG or the St. Vincent and the Grenadines state should send the police or RSS or USS or whatever S you might call it into the hills at any time? Were they to govern over the land in a whole, or were they to only do business
There was
in the
not.
cities?
That's not part of the treaty. That's a violation of the treaty. There was never no organized, no agreement signed between them and the Aboriginals for them to enter the mountains of Uromi, which the corporation called SVGR, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They were only supposed to be in the 6 towns doing business. Nowhere outside of the towns are they supposed to carry the colony. The colony is supposed to stay there. What they did is denationalize the remaining population of the mountains and give them a birth certificate so that they would impreach on the lands and the territories, which they did successfully in by denationalizing and encourage them and telling them that they would be a part of the corporation, they would get certain benefits and whatever. So they fooled some of our ancestors. But we being wise and learning the truth, we come out of it, and so we're bringing a different light into this, and we're bringing some out of it, and we're taking back what is rightfully ours. But we still have this little negligence on behalf of some of the corporate wards who call themselves intention with lack of knowledge, fighting and even being defensive on the system side, which is betrayal, like Judas, do to your own kind.
So would you say that in respect to wanted men or thief men in the hill? Now, speaking about wanted men or thief men, the Moors has something which they when they established the court, what they call common law,
That's right.
which take care of
Damage
and
of
against
property,
damage of property,
damage of persons,
or stealing.
Right.
So we are against those things.
Yeah, we are.
So even if they are thief men or wanted men in the hills,
It would be that it's our situation as the indigenous aboriginal to clean the mountain of them.
correct,
And if they are to come and assist us,
Right.
it would be with our guidance.
correct,
Not on their own to do what they feel like.
correct,
And it's only to root out the negative energies.
correct,
But it's not for them to take root and to proceed in the endeavors
correct,
as to how they plan and proceed in the negative endeavors, whether they want to thief, capture, or invade our land and use these as just passerby
a front,
to
yes,
get as
yes,
a front
correct,
to
alibi,
get in,
yeah.
a alibi, so to speak, to get in to do the evil atrocities and the plan that they have.
And you know the thing about it is that they recruited a lot of youth, young people, to carry on that evilous act, that diabolical act, in fighting against their own people, killing their own people. Now, when you look at the situation where a young man or young woman the parents look after them. Okay, like for instance, the system already encourage our parents to sign us on to a birth certificate where they place us on the number, making us a thing and not a person, inanimate object. Under the 14th Amendment, we are classified as artificial persons. Now, when you look at that and see that mother, that parent had to work hard and look after that child, which is quite natural to look after her young. But then that child is being recruited into an evilous army and is asked to swear to arrest and to possibly execute his or her own mother. I see that as very, very dark.
That's what you call the devil system. That's basically the devil. Anything that would encourage you to destroy life in such a negative way and perceive it as a so-called law has to be works of an evil regime or a demonic system, which is called a government system. So people, wake up. And we would end this today with love and peace to all my brothers and sisters and my indigenous people, even to those that is caught up under corporation government system, which is known as a citizen. Find yourself, brothers and sisters. Know yourself, know where you're coming from, and do like me, become free. Don't let the system dictate your life for you. You has the right to choose your destiny and your choice. Stop thinking in the box, come out the box and think outside the box. Don't perceive the way they want you to, but perceive higher than them. Show that you have approval from love, nature, and we would say the Creator. Peace and love and respect.
Guidance.